3mm. He got 4 individuals in the back.
You can make it here in America if you're willing to try.
I'm with you, the American people.
A new world order. A world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations.
Now we are in danger of being swamped by Muslims.
G'day and welcome to the Cunspiracy podcast. My name's Josh Wade. On this week's episode, I have Brianne Worth. Brianne is a fucking awesome chick. She grew up in Innisfail, just near me, in Townsville, so we're both pretty fucking bogan at heart. We have a great chat about gender equality. We talk about mental health, a whole wide range of issues. Of course, a few conspiracy theories are thrown in there and some real facts as well. So I think you're going to enjoy this episode. I really fucking enjoyed the chat. If you want to help us out, thanks to everyone on Patreon. You guys are helping us more than you can fucking ever understand, and you're making this show operate at less of a... We're not making money yet, but they're looking up. So cheers to you cunts. If you want to subscribe to us on iTunes or the podcast app that you have on Android, please do. We'd love you to subscribe. There's extra shit over on the audio versions, plus a Wednesday episode. I'd love you to join that. If not, just give the video a like, send us a comment, send us a question for next week. But otherwise, that's everything again, Connor. Great, fucking good. Enjoy the episode. G'day and welcome to the Cunspiracy Podcast. My name's Josh Wade, and on today's show, I've got another fellow shit talker. It's Brianne Worth. How you going?
Hey, good, thanks.
This has been a requested thing. I've definitely had
Has
a
it?
lot of... Yeah, I've had a lot of people say, do a video with you.
Shit. Here we are.
Welcome. It started out real creepy. We were having a pretty deep conversation before about life and that. But for anyone that doesn't know, Brianne, what would you say that you do?
Yeah, basically just talk shit into a camera.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a clothing brand as well. I'd kind of do that on the side, but
Yep.
yeah, it's basically like YouTube, Instagram, that
Yep.
kind of world.
Yep.
Yeah.
You grew up near where I grew up. Yeah.
In a shithole.
Yeah, I felt like when I found your channel when I'd first started, I just couldn't believe that there was someone else that sort of lived close by that was not just a little bit into YouTube, but like was trying to take it seriously. Yeah,
because it wasn't a thing. Like it's not a
Nah.
thing up there. Even now, I don't think there's like, I can't name people from.
But we were
North
past
Queensland.
level 1. It was like,
Yeah.
it's a rarity when you find someone that doesn't just have a few videos on their channel, but you were trying to build a subscriber base.
And like
yeah.
putting some level of effort into it. Yeah. I was pretty... You just don't see that up there ever for some reason. Like you see people attempting it, I feel like, or like people uploading like tidbits and stuff. But yeah, like I found your channel and I was like, it's from Townsville. That's pretty unheard of. But yeah. Wait, did you know anyone else in Townsville that made videos?
Not really. I did it with my friends through high school. I had a channel before the one that I had now.
Oh, yeah.
That was my first one. And I'd made I started to learn how to use Windows Movie Maker. Did you ever use that?
No, thankfully
No.
not.
Oh, lucky you. So you just can make like shitty fucking slideshows on them. And I made like a 9/11 slideshow. It's still on YouTube on this channel. But then in high school, I made a channel with my mates. Did you ever do videos with your mates?
I think
Or
that's
is that how it
started
started
it.
as
Yeah.
well? Yeah.
It was like on the channel that I've got now, but it was with a friend of mine, Bianca, and like I've still got the videos. They're bad. Like, they are bad.
Are they on private?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
they're not public. Like anything from, I think in 2010 that started.
Yeah.
Anything from 2010 to like 2013 is just not on my channel anymore.
My first videos on the channel I have now from like grade 9.
Wow, dude.
Yeah, yeah.
What's it about?
So these were in the days, I think, of like, did you ever use your iMac webcam? Is that what you recorded
Yep.
from? Yeah.
Yep.
They were the days
That
before
was like
DSLRs.
the OG, yeah.
That was OG YouTube. Yeah. That was. Did you ever watch videos of people in that?
I did.
Yeah. I loved it. I remember getting my first MacBook and thinking, now I can make YouTube videos.
I'm like cinematic motherfucker, you know. But yeah, no, I remember like because we used to film outside, me and Bianca, the girl who I made videos with, and we used to just take the laptop outside and like sit it on a chair and film out there.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember doing that. But I remember taking days off school,
Oh,
pretending to be sick to make some videos.
See, we used to cut school to go to the beach, but not to
okay.
make videos.
Did you find, like, what was it about YouTube that made you go, oh, this is a cool thing
I
to
don't
do?
really. Oh, I remember. Did you know Super Mac 18? Did you ever watch?
Yeah, that guy. Yeah.
We like my whole friendship group used to watch him, and we were just like obsessed. So we're like, fuck it, he just makes it with a Mac webcam. Like, let's do it. You
He
know?
started that then.
Yeah,
He
that
must
was like
have been the cunt that fucking started it.
And like the whole lip syncing to music and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He I think
Still doing
paved the way for that.
it. Yeah. Yeah, I remember
yeah.
him doing like an Austin Powers song
He did a lot of shit.
Yeah, he did a bunch of stuff. And then he just sort of...
Just tapered off. I don't know. I haven't heard anything from him.
I'm probably still subscribed to him.
I probably wouldn't be
I know I wouldn't have unsubscribed.
Yeah, I don't unsubscribe from anyone, really.
Okay. So do you ever do you think most people on YouTube that like stop making videos, do you think they do it on purpose, or do you think people just genuinely flutter off? And
I think for the most part, I mean, it can be a bit of both, I guess. Like, people can just lose interest in making videos, but also if you're not like keeping up with what the current trends are, or what people are interested in, or your format's just kind of a little bit dated, then it's obviously not going to work. Like, there's been trends on YouTube where like a few years ago it was like everything was about making it short and quick and like
3-minute videos.
Yeah, like the 3-minute videos like capture their attention in 10 seconds or whatever it was. And now it's like people are uploading like 19-minute videos.
Yeah.
And they're what's popular.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I guess the format's important, but also like what style of video
I feel like
you're
it's
making.
weird because it's changing for YouTube, and Facebook is becoming a place where that shorter format stuff is sitting now. So especially like Facebook now is mainly memes. Maybe 2 years ago, Facebook was videos, Vines and shit like that. But yeah, obviously it feels like Facebook's becoming that place, and then YouTube is almost, it's not Vimeo. I remember Vimeo was always for like real artsy shit and well produced.
Yeah, like high quality.
Yeah. Whereas I suppose I don't know what's going on with that place, but there's a lot of that on YouTube now.
Yeah, I feel like YouTube's become more of like something that you have to commit to. Like Facebook, you'll be scrolling through and like people oftentimes don't even turn the sound on. But if they're going to watch something, it's got to be like quick and no one wants to commit to it too much. But YouTube's a site that you kind of go to now, especially because they've got all these new like shows and all that kind of crap attached to it. It's somewhere you go to like sit down and watch things, like
you put time aside for it. Whereas I suppose Facebook is more of a procrastination. Yeah, that's very I've never looked at it that way.
Oh, that's just what I've kind of assumed.
No, but it's
recently.
true. That's what you said is exactly right.
And I think it's a lot to do with the fact that Facebook's business model is very much like just keep people mindlessly kind of scrolling through the site, whereas YouTube's is they want people on the site for as long as possible because obviously that benefits their ad revenue and stuff like that.
Yeah. They want your retention.
Yeah.
Whereas Facebook sort of is like a drug where it's like you just gotta, you keep scrolling, like you can never get to the bottom.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a time waster. Whereas YouTube's more of like I want to sit down and actually do this kind of thing.
Do you know what I find sad about myself is like I'll scroll on Facebook, like when I wake up in the morning, I'll refresh it and I'll scroll down to where I last remember vaguely, like I'm like, I've seen most of this stuff now, so I'm done. That's how I judge. Like I don't miss anything.
No, that's the thing. And like, I think like when I wake up in the morning, the first thing I go on is Twitter, and it always puts me in a bad mood. Because if there's any bad news, it's on fucking Twitter. Like it's always on Twitter. And then Facebook, I feel.
I realised that as well. I use Twitter a little bit, and when I go to that moments thing,
it's always bad. It's always bad. I've started like avoiding it in the morning because it just fucks my day up. I'm like, everything's bad in the world. Like, why bother?
Yeah. And I feel like, well, Twitter knows and Facebook knows that news is where it's going, because eventually the news networks, they're only going to be, it's all on Facebook and Twitter now.
And it's condensed. Like, you don't have to commit to turning the TV on, watching a whole thing.
You know what's interesting? I watched Julian Assange do a speech about how basically Facebook AI, they want AI to deliver us the news so it can figure out what sort of articles you like to read.
Algorithms and stuff
like through the algorithms. So now news can be catered to each individual person.
That's pretty... And then there was a lot of that discussed around like the 2016 election because of how our algorithms work. Like if you're more... you lean more towards the left or the right, you're going to get news that's reflects that. So what you're seeing is completely polarized, and that like has created people have said it's created like this huge divide, because I feel like the divide in this last election is bigger than it ever has been. And there's like a lot of reasons that could be happening, but I feel like that to say that Facebook and social media didn't play a part is pretty naive, because I think it definitely would have.
I think it did. The fake news thing gets thrown around a lot. I know you're quite... I suppose you know politics enough, or especially the last election, and because that's a discussion that's obviously had a lot on Twitter, and still every day it's always
it's still there. There's something new every fucking day.
I want to ask what your experience was going through that, like how you felt where you sat politically, Like, did it ever, like, swing at times, or were you like, are you someone that's solely, just in general, are you solely for like one person, or one team, one party? Where did you sit through that? Because I had an emotional roller coaster through that election.
That's the thing. I don't think I sat in one spot at any point, like, stably. I feel like there were times where, like, you know, some shit would come out and it was like a big scandal that I'd get like angry and probably lean more towards like left-leaning opinions.
Yep.
Or like, and then when things settled down, I was more like, I guess, moderate. And then like after the election, I'm kind of have stood back and been like, holy fuck, like all of it's fucked. Like, I don't think any one side is correct. And I think that, like, my thing with the election is that no one was really, like, the left and the right weren't really fighting each other. They were like kind of fighting an idea that they created of the other side, if that makes sense.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, so...
Both boogeymen.
Yeah, exactly. And they're like... They take the worst examples from each side. So me being, like, more of a liberal person would take, like, the worst thing that Trump said, or the worst thing that, you know, some group of neo-Nazis or whatever was doing, and we're like, okay, that's the right. Like, that's what they are.
Yeah.
So that's what I reacted to.
Yeah.
And then the right would do the same thing. So people aren't actually fighting or discussing even with people on each side. They're just discussing with this made-up thing that they've created of the other side, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, because they only sort of... It's about stereotyping the most extreme part of
which
any
is not,
side.
Yeah, and it's not accurate. Like, that's not... If you have discussions with people, that's not where most people sit. That's just complete outliers. That is a very, very small percentage of that movement kind of thing.
But you've got to vote for one side, basically. I do find a two-part... Like, the idea is standing back, if I was an alien looking out or looking in, seeing that Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump were the two most intellectual people that we could get to run this world, it's just not actually possible. Yeah. It's not possible, because people are a lot smarter than that.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, if it was maybe people like fucking Elon Musk versus, I don't know,
someone else.
There's got to be some like smart scientist or some shit like that.
Yeah, like, there's so many capable people, but what they came out with was one corrupt person and another corrupt person. Yeah. With horrible histories.
You know what I really didn't like about the election is I didn't like the fact that it was like a boy versus girl thing.
Yeah, and it did turn into that, definitely.
And I'm not talking about like feminism and you know, that for Hillary Clinton. I'm just talking about the fact, like, I didn't like how Donald Trump presented himself in the election, but I also, whenever I would hear speeches of Hillary Clinton basically saying, vote for me because I'm a girl, I'm like...
It's not productive.
It is counterproductive, because humans are, I think, so much smarter and get so much less credit. Not everyone is a fucking sexist. How often do you really come across a sexist in the whole... Like, we've got the majority, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So why does it have to be this... Another thing to divide us?
Yeah.
There's just so many, like, things they pointed out in this election. It was like... It was insane.
And I feel like a lot of their debates and, like, Hillary and Trump's debates and arguments and, you know... It didn't have much to do with policy or like anything at all. It was just like, don't vote for her, she's a girl, she's not equipped, or vote for me because I'm a girl and I'm, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
Or don't vote for him because he was recorded saying this thing, you know. And like, they're bad on both sides, but it's got nothing to do with running a country. Do
you know what those debates were to me when I sat there and watched them? I really watched them and I went, holy shit, they have just repackaged Jerry Springer to two people on stage that are going to run the world. It's
reality TV show. Like, they really present it like a...
Do you know they actually, like, hire, like, set designers and stuff like that, like a Hollywood production. That's what those...
Why? Like, I mean, I know why, but it's just... It seems, like, so counterproductive. And it's... I mean, America's a bit of a mess, but, like, to have your whole political system be shaped like a reality TV show, and even the rallies and all that kind of stuff, that's such a foreign concept to me. Like, do we have rallies here? And
yeah, we do, but
it's nothing to the same degree.
You don't need to go to a rally anymore. Everything's online. The conversation's being held online. That's like taking a fucking horse and cart to go wherever you want.
And it just like the printing out stickers and making T-shirts and all that kind of crap. Like, I feel like that's so I mean, I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with it.
Yeah.
But to me, it's a little bit strange.
Foreign and bizarre. Yeah.
That would have anything to do with politics.
Yeah. That's a fantastic point. How does that... You know, I am surprised by people that follow... Because I'd see my parents and other people in my family would follow a certain side, specifically, like in Australia at least.
Yeah.
They'd be like, well, no, these are the people that we vote for. And that was sort of my introduction to politics growing up.
Yeah, same.
And then I just started to like, I went back and forth. So I'm like an artist, I guess, or, you know, creative people are mostly left-leaning liberal thinkers.
Yeah.
In a progressive sort of, well, the world changes and that's what it is.
Yeah.
And this election was like this part of me because I'm, you know, I think the world is really, there's so much more corruption going on than what I ever thought growing up. And I feel like, as silly as it sounds, and, you know, I'm never going to fucking change anything, but it's just like, there's something inside of me that's so angry that we let it get this way.
Yeah.
And the fact that now I've felt that way for so long. Now I've just come to terms with the fact that we're never going to be able to change it. Like, it's too far gone, I think.
Yeah. I had a conversation with my dad the other day. He rang up and we were just talking about like the world and like all the different facets of, you know, everything that's kind of corrupt in the world, like the friggin' ISIS being funded by the CIA and all that kind of stuff. And
that's not a conspiracy though.
No, it's not
really,
no, I don't.
Bugs me.
I don't accept that as a conspiracy theory. Like it's
just
happening.
Fact. They've done it. It's not the
happened.
first time they've done it either.
Yeah.
They've been doing that shit for years.
And it makes sense. Like it doesn't make sense that America's just going to these countries to instill democracy, just of the, you know, goodness of their own heart. It just doesn't add up, especially
democracy
with
through like bombing the shit out of them, and
doesn't add up. So I can't accept that as anything that's not the truth. But yeah, basically what we came to the conclusion of at the end is like, oh yeah, like it's fucked. This is all fucked.
Yeah.
And what can you really do about it?
Yeah.
There's like, and then there's bigger things at play. Like there's this whole like Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton, like the facade almost. And then there's like deeper parts of the government that these people actually have no real control over. They've got nothing to do with. And I feel like all of the, you know, the friggin' banners and the rallies and all this crap is just a distraction. And like the fact that me saying that
I love you right now.
the fact that me saying that a lot of people will just group me into the boat of like just being a conspiracy theorist and like a tinfoil on my head kind of thing. I think that's just another way to discredit people.
It is. Well, the actual term conspiracy theory was invented by the CIA as a way of like almost like a psyop. So it's basically a way of going, well, we'll just never know, you know, and give that word the connotation as well, that whenever you use that word, this is what it means. Yeah. There you go. That's it.
Because it doesn't have great connotations.
And they used it through the JFK thing. That's when it became like its most popular use was during the 60s.
Shit. But yeah, I think and like that's another thing, like addressing the problem feeds into the problem. Like if you address conspiracy theories, you get grouped into and like into that group and completely discredited. Yeah. Before you've even started the argument kind of thing, which is just like, there's just, you look at it and then you get further and further into it and then you get angry, but then there's nothing you can do, which is so frustrating.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you try, they'll go out of their way to like using tools like the media and stuff like that.
They neutralize the threat basically.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've noticed they do it a lot where they'll just say, they can make anything up. Yeah. And just discredit anything they have. They tried it with the Julian Assange guy. They said that he raped 2 chicks in Sweden or something as a way to extradite him, and it was just like, it was utter bullshit. It didn't happen. And, you know, that was their way of, I suppose, trying to make sure that these documents that ever get leaked, they would go out of their way for that, wouldn't they?
Oh, for sure.
What did you think about, did you ever look much into the emails and the documents thing that they talked about much during the election?
Not in a huge amount of depth, like just like surface level stuff.
Yeah, articles about it.
Yeah. So I like, but the thing is, like with the amount of like fake news or whatever that was spread around the same time, I'm like, what if what I'm reading is just bullshit? And I'm like subscribing to this belief and it's just it's not even actually what happened. Yeah. So I didn't really delve too much into that, to be honest. They
were real. That's the scary thing. Yeah. So and there's some weird shit in there. Yeah. Of course there's going to be. They're politicians, but of course. Weird shit.
That's the thing, and like all of these people are corrupt. Like even our politicians, Malcolm Turnbull has like offshore banking.
Yeah, I know. He's making us pay tax, and this guy's like, I'm not paying tax.
Yeah, it's the fact that can happen in so openly. Like it's
and
just
we
a known
blindly
fact.
accept it.
Yeah, it's like, okay, we know he does this. This doesn't make sense. It's not fair. His policies completely contradict that. We'll just go about our day and ignore it. Just doesn't seem... I just don't know why people don't do more. But that like applies to me as well. Like, why aren't I doing more? I'm not really doing anything.
Well, yeah, we found that in Nimbin. It was good to see people there, but I was watching the fucking footy last night, and I'm sitting there, I'm seeing all these people wearing orange, not orange, maroon. That's how
not even one of the colours, man.
Watching them wear like, one side was maroon, one side was blues. And I'm like, these guys are going for a group of people that come from the same patch of dirt. They're versing each other.
Yeah.
And like all it is over something so minuscule. There's like 50,000 people at this stadium.
Yeah.
Why couldn't we gather together and like actually instead
Canberra.
Yeah, I mean, I know that's a real idealistic way of looking at it, and
but...
it's not the logistics in it, but people fucking do a lot of things to get to a footy game as well. They'll, take time off work and buy tickets, and and half of them are Maori. So like, so what? I
don't know. And like, that's the thing, like things you see, like the Super Bowl, for example, like that is a colossal amount of people going to a lot of effort to organise this and attend it and, spend money there. And like, it's like a whole thing.
Everyone watches. It's the most highly watched show all year. That's why all the advertisers make these big ads there.
Millions of dollars for fucking 10 seconds of advertising just because there's so many people there. But like, if we can go to that much effort to do that, like you're right, like why can't we put that energy into something that's actually going to contribute to the world in any way?
Yeah, instead of using Facebook to do that when it's not going to change anything.
That's the thing.
What do you think about the changing the profile picture thing whenever there's another attack?
God. I'm not... You
do
can do what you want, but I don't do it.
Okay, good. I don't do it.
I don't think...
I just think like I would feel like a worse person if I did it.
I think I did it the first one they had. It was like a LGBT, the rainbow one. I did it then, and then I realised
that was the
first
stupid one, wasn't it? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I don't know what it was to do with, which is like, again, like if I can't even remember what it was regarding, is it really that effective?
Yeah. Well, isn't that another interesting one that like gay marriage in Australia is still like we're happy to sit at America and go, you guys are crazy. Yeah. We're in a pretty primitive fucking stage.
We're so behind with a lot of things.
Even with like our Aboriginal rights, like that is one of the most overlooked things when you really go look into that and what's going on there and what has happened through time that you don't learn about in school.
Like it's very, very
Let's remember
recent.
this is after the like World War II. This is in our modern history.
Like there's people alive that are directly affected by what we did, like what our ancestors did to them, and we just kind of like we have Sorry Day. I think that's pretty much all we've got.
Sorry Day to me is the equivalent of changing your profile picture on Facebook.
Like,
it's a fucking load of shit. It's a load of shit. It's a way to make white people feel like, well,
they've done anything.
Well, yeah, look, we're having a sorry day and there you go. It's all over now. Fucking no, it's not.
Is it even like a public holiday? There's just like, it's just Sorry Day. That's it. Like, so we haven't even attempted to turn it into...
So if you became Prime Minister... I was having this conversation with a friend and it was interesting just trying to figure this out because it is such a complex issue.
Of course,
if you became Prime Minister tomorrow, what approach... Like, how does anyone fix this? What could we do?
With regard to, like, Aboriginal...
Yeah, like just the fact that it's their land and it always was their land and we are... on occupied land, really.
Yeah, I'm not Aboriginal, so I can't really speak with any kind of, legitimacy. But
I just mean in general.
That's the thing.
How do you approach it?
You'd have to, and I think the biggest issue here is no one's talking to them and asking, like, what can we do? Really, like, there's no transparency with that, and there's no real communication between, like, the government and, like, representatives of Aboriginal culture. I don't even know what the technical term would be.
Just different communities. And stuff
like going into these communities, talking to people. Like, my sister lives in Darwin, so there's a pretty high percentage of Aboriginals in that population. And they, like, the government just forks out so much money and builds all these houses for them to live in, but that's not what they want. And this is not all communities. This is just like a select few that she's spoken with and stuff like that. They don't want that. Like, they want to live traditionally.
Yeah.
So they rip these houses apart.
Yeah, they do.
They take all the furniture outside. They like destroy everything. They give in cars and they drive the cars until the fuel runs out and then just leave it there. And like, our government looks at that like they're being irresponsible and like they're not appreciating what we're giving them, but they're looking at it like they didn't want any of that to begin with. They just wanted to be left alone.
Yeah, exactly.
So why don't we? Like, we're not doing anything up in like Darwin really, like, or the surrounding areas. Like, can't we just let them live the way that they would have been living if we weren't here?
But it's at a point where, like, I don't know, I just think like the government should go out to the community leaders and find out exactly, you know,
talk to them.
Yeah.
Ask them like, how can we help? Like, what are we doing? Well, what are we doing wrong? But like, and I think obviously you'll find that certain areas will want completely different things. Like,
and how can we just find like a mutual respect there?
Yeah.
That everyone, you know, there's just no more
well, that's the thing, like,
anymore.
When we first came here, according to like what history we do have about that time, they were quite receptive to housing and like welcoming white people. It's just when we started slaughtering them that there was a bit of an issue, understandably.
Yeah, Australia successfully committed genocide.
Oh, 100%. And it's not ever called that. It's never called genocide.
No.
Like, it's called the stolen generation, or like you know, that kind of stuff.
Bit of a softer term.
It's just genocide. It's no different to what happened in friggin' like Germany. Yeah. Different circumstances, but it's the same thing.
George Carlin, a comedian, does a great bit about how they change words over time to mean less. So like in the First World, I don't know if it's the First World War, but early on in the wars, if you came home, you had, you know, like something from the war, you'd have it was called shell shock. And then it changed to like, it slowly changed over time, and then it's post-traumatic stress disorder. Like, these names that don't really allude to anything, whereas back then, anyway. So, fuck, we delved down a real.
Yeah, I'm like, where did
we go from here? Have you heard of the theory? I always bring Jared up. Jared does the Big Les show. Do you watch the Big Les show?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it was really big, like up where I grew up. I don't know about you, but like that was everywhere, always on YouTube, Facebook. He was telling me about a theory, how Australia was apparently like the centre of the world, or you know, when all the countries were together.
Oh, like Pangaea or something, whatever it was.
Yeah, and that we were like this planet. Ayers Rock was like this crystal or something like that was brought, or a rock that was brought down from another planet to basically, Australia's like Noah's Ark. That's what he said. Like that story of Noah's Ark where we had all the animals. We've got such a vast fucking like wildlife and flora and fauna and everything, that we were basically the zoo of the world. So everything started here. And that's why the Aboriginals are such an old race, because they were the first people basically.
Wow, that's really, really interesting.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. And like that type of animals we have here don't exist anywhere else. Like the platypus or friggin' the echidna. Well, I guess the echidna.
It's just a theory. I want to preface. I'm not saying I believe, but I thought.
But it's interesting.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
Never thought of it that way.
And like Uluru always been such a sacred, like protected thing.
Yeah.
You know, and it's obviously got to have more to do with the fact that it's just a big rock. And it's not just a big rock. I'm not trying to like...
No, but
it's like...
that's what they would say it is.
That's the thing. I'm like, if you looked at it and it had no meaning attached, it's just a rock.
Big rock.
So what's the significance of it?
It has a massive significance.
Yeah, it's got huge
you know, Aboriginals
cultural ties.
And their, you know, the culture is such a spiritual thing that I don't know, it seems to make sense. What are your thoughts on aliens?
Aliens, man. I think they're avoiding us. I think they're purposefully avoiding us, or like monitoring us without interacting that much.
I've had a change. I'm either like, I'm agnostic with it now.
I'm a little bit, because I'm like, maybe they're already here and we just don't know. Like,
yeah. Well, I heard like I like to romanticize with the idea. I want to believe that there's different groups of things that are living here right now and operating in different dimensions and shit like that. But then the rational side of me is going, well, what if it's just like some psyop that's just like, you know, that's just a thing that were in a bunch of Hollywood movies, and it was just like not subliminal messaging, but
Yeah.
you know, they've put it out there for us to like think that there's some, you know,
Yeah.
higher being than
Yeah.
us or something like what if that's the experiment that we're being
Fuck.
played on?
That like kind of ties back into the whole simulation thing too, that we're just being like influenced or controlled by something that's not like some other civilization or world that's just like created us as like an experiment basically.
Yeah.
I believe that. Like I have no qualms with that
Yeah,
theory.
me too.
I think it's quite probable. Like,
Yeah, it's probably my, like, out of all the theories I've gone through, I'm like, this is probably the most likely.
And it's so outlandish when you first read into it. I'm like, fucking simulation, really? Like, but the more you look into it, I'm like, I believe it now. Like,
Yeah. What if we're just the AI of the last race, and now
Yeah.
we're creating the robot people?
and that's the thing. Like, if it weren't for the fact that we're now creating simulations and we use that to see like distant solar systems and work out if there's like a planet somewhere where something should be there but we can't see it, you use simulations to figure out, like, based on the laws of physics and stuff. And the laws of physics really, like, to me, kind of mirror the same way you code in computers. Like, it's all just laws and rules that they have to follow. So I'm like, what's the difference, really? It's just a lot more complex.
Have you looked much into the moon?
No, not really.
There's a lot of really fascinating things about that, because it's bigger than Pluto, and most scientists can't. There will be ones that would have figured it out, and someone will link it in the comments for sure. But they can't figure out how a planet, or you know, the moon that's bigger than Pluto, how that is going around the
Like orbiting.
Yeah. Why is it there? And when they've gone up there and tested it, they've found like the stuff that's on there isn't natural. Like, it's not natural.
What's it like? It's like a.
It's an oddity, basically.
Yeah.
They're going, they have theories on why it's there.
Yeah.
But there's no.
Do you know if it's similar to like the moons that circle Jupiter or something like that? Like, I wouldn't have a clue, but is it made of like? I suppose
I don't know.
Would we even know that yet? Have
Look,
we been there?
we don't even fucking. I don't know. We don't even know. We're just.
So what's the theory? Is it like that it's been
that
planted
it's a
there?
spaceship
Oh,
that's been put there by another.
Death Star.
Yeah.
Shit.
That's a theory. But
Well,
see, the
fuck.
further you go down the rabbit hole,
That's the thing, I'm like-
the more crazy shit that you've found out as you've got to that point, you think, oh wow, there's actually a possibility, like this simulation thing. So once you get to that point, you start delving further, and I think that's also probably a bit of a problem with conspiracies, is like,
Yeah.
you start to believe anything, or you want to believe anything because you can't believe how fucked it already is.
Yeah, and that's like, I think things like the Mandela effect and all that kind of stuff. Like, I'm not saying it's not a thing,
Yeah,
but I don't think it's. I think that's just a huge coincidence, and like group memories can be false, and you know, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I think that makes it a little bit less legitimate.
What do you think of deja vu? I suppose that's maybe a little bit similar to the Mandela effect.
Yeah, I guess so. Like, I think the thing people get so fixated on with deja vu is like, just because when you experience it, it's such a encompassing thing. Like, you really just fucking feel it, and it's like really makes you take a step back and it's like, what the fuck happened? So I have looked into it, and it's apparently like there's theories surrounding it, obviously, and one of them was basically, it was just as simple as like your brain, like when you perceive everything, it's like that got that 0.2-second delay or whatever.
Yeah.
And
could totally be that as well, you know.
Well, yeah, they basically were like, something happens, we don't know what.
Your mind's playing a trick on you.
Yeah,
that's all.
and your mind registers it, but then registers it again. So it's a memory in your subconscious, but your conscious only sees it for the first time, but feels like you've saw it.
But is
seen it before.
is that a glitch?
That's the thing. I'm like, that like ties back in with the simulation thing. Like, I feel like that's just a glitch in the whatever the fuck.
I
is
love
running
that.
it.
I'm never gonna fucking know any of this.
That's the thing. Like, this will never be confirmed ever. And if we do, it'll be like a Matrix type situation. I feel like you can't know that for sure, and then just keep living your life.
So do you feel like you've taken the red pill? Do you feel like the way that you look at the world now
Oh yeah, I
is
feel
different
like
to 18-year-old Brianne?
100%. I feel like once you consider this like realm, it just being like a group of all these different conspiracies and like ways of viewing the world, once you consider that as a possibility, like, it's already too late because you've entertained it, and that's it. You're going to believe it at some stage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've had like a long experience with conspiracies. I more look at it now at a really subjective level.
Yeah.
Because I did go through a stage maybe like a year ago where I wanted to believe everything.
Yeah.
And now I'm more like, well, they are just theories, and there's so many different possibilities for everything in the world that isn't it just entertaining knowing a bunch of them?
Yeah, that's the thing. And I think if nothing else, it's just fun.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
It's just
yeah.
fun to look at the world differently to what you've been raised, or not raised necessarily, but like, you know, you have been raised by society, by people to think a certain way and to question that and like try and find out actually like the details of how that works.
Yeah.
It's just fun.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's the thing. Like when I first started looking into conspiracy theories, you just go down like the rabbit hole so far and believe everything.
What
and
was
like,
your first one?
Oh, it was to do with the Roswell things, like that
UFOs.
alien, the UFOs and all that kind
Yeah.
of stuff. And that's where it started because I was watching some documentary.
Right,
And,
yeah.
but this was in like high school, and I was like, oh, this is weird. And then like revisited it a couple of years ago. And
Right.
that's,
Did you ever... 9/11 was my one. That was the one that...
Oh, yeah, that was a
And that
big
was
one
by
too.
accident.
oh, really?
Yeah, because I was fascinated with it as a kid. I don't know why. There was just something about that day.
Yeah.
And I remember the day watching it on TV, but then...
Yeah. Cheese TV wasn't on that morning.
Yeah, it was something weird was going on, right? And me and my brother had chicken pox, so we weren't going to school that day.
Yeah.
So we just sat in front of the TV, fixated. And I knew as a kid, even though I couldn't understand it, I knew that something major was happening. Thousands
Yeah.
of people died, and it was it was attack on the West,
Yeah.
on my side. I was like, wow.
That was like my first introduction to terrorism, I think.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even understand
think
that was
about it before then.
Yeah, I didn't know bad people existed
Yeah,
and
I'm
that
like,
people
who
would
the
do
fuck
bad
would do
things.
that?
But when I first started to get on YouTube, I only got on there because I used to watch wrestling videos
Oh,
like when I
yep.
was like 10 or 11. And then sometimes I'd look at 9/11 footage. And just by sifting through that, I eventually had come across some conspiracy things because there's just so many. When you type in 9/11, it's just all conspiracy stuff.
Yeah.
Because they fucked up, really. That was a major fuck up.
That was not-
Whoever did it, it wasn't a bunch of cavemen. Whoever was fucking sorting that shit out made a colossal disaster. And now there's just evidence to support every single theory.
Yeah.
So it's where there's smoke, there's fire. That's
Yeah.
what I think.
I think the fact that everyone, well, not everyone, but a lot of people unanimously agree that something is amiss is generally a good indicator that something is amiss. Like there's something that's gone down
Yeah.
there.
But they don't want to look into it.
No, that's the thing.
They spent fucking like no money on the investigation into the
Exactly.
largest terrorist attack on American soil.
And you'd think that like, especially in America, they spend so much money looking into everything really compared to a lot of other countries. Would they not? Would it not be natural for them to then just
Yeah.
investigate like the biggest terrorist attack on their country?
Because they already knew what they were going to do.
Yeah.
We were already at war.
Yeah.
By the time that investigation came out, we were saying that and that's the other part, is the same people that told you what happened on 9/11, so George Bush and that, the people that delivered that news and said what we're going to do are the exact same people that told you that there were weapons of mass destruction in a country that had nothing to do with the attack at all, and they fucking ripped the country apart, killed their dictator, and now everything is fucked there.
What was I reading the other day about like that centralized banking and like the reason they took that person out?
Yeah.
Basically, was it for gold or was that a different?
That's Colonel Gaddafi.
Oh yeah.
So he was that crazy one that was
Yeah,
like...
he was a bit of a...
He was a nutter, but
Yeah.
he was a nutter for a reason.
Yeah.
They'd sent him crazy for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, he wanted to change the... because the Middle East has got all the oil, that's where we get it
Yeah.
from. They wanted to stop trading the paper money, which was
Useless.
worthless.
Yeah.
Especially now, like America's so in debt at this point that...
They'll never get out of the debt they're in. Like it's not possible.
No, it's literally not
for them
possible.
to ever get out.
No. But our monetary system is a debt-based system. So if the Federal Reserve had never created any money,
Yeah.
there would be no money. So like
Yeah.
as soon as they print $1, the country's in debt. $1 plus interest. Like it's insane.
Yeah, I was reading into that.
Every man, woman and child is born
In
into
debt.
life in debt
Yeah.
through their taxes. So yeah, you got to do some fucked up shit to get to the top.
That's the thing. You have to fuck over a lot of people.
That's why I'm like, that's the one thing with Donald Trump. He's a fucking idiot, man. He's 70 years old. Of course he's a racist. Of course he's a sexist.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
a product of his environment. He's fucking, it would be surprising to see some 70-year-old at a gay rights rally or a fucking like it would be like what?
Yeah,
Welcome.
unless they have like a personal investment in it in some way.
Otherwise, and
Yeah.
so what has this guy done? Which element of this man is smart enough to get into the position that he's in? Because there must be something.
Oh, 100%. And
there.
it can't just be because he's rich. Like that's not.
No.
There's so many rich people. It's not. I don't know. Like that's the thing. I don't know, but it's interesting.
Yeah,
Because it doesn't like on face value doesn't make any sense.
No.
But I'm like it has to. It has to make sense at some point. There has to be a reason that like someone so.
Dude, this guy knows some
fucked.
shit now
Yeah.
though.
Oh, 100%. I just want to know, like, whatever package they give new presidents or whatever, like, what the fuck do they know? What's in...
Do you know what? I highly believe that they know before they go in. I highly believe they're just part of the same people. It's a club. It's a big club on two sides. It is. They're like secret societies. They vote in the same people. Like Bohemian Grove is had like 5 or 6 US Jimmy Carter, Ronald Reagan, a bunch of like presidents in them, and then there's other groups like the Skull and Bones Society, stuff like that. And there's just the same group of people that keep getting voted. Like, I know I'm talking a lot, sorry.
No, that's fine. It's interesting.
This is one that I found fascinating. You know how we say like North Korea and these countries under like dictatorships, like it stays in the family? I'm like, we are very close.
It's
like
not far off.
We have a royal family who
does nothing. What do they do?
do nothing, but they run shit, right? They're still around, so they're not obsolete.
Yeah.
And to be in that, it's all through your genes.
Yeah.
So that's like a dictatorship. Mm-hmm. You've had George Bush, the first one.
Yeah.
And you had Clinton. Then you had another George Bush.
Yeah.
Then they threw Obama into the mix just to try and dilute it a little. And then they were trying to run with another Clinton. I think Hillary Clinton was definitely... the reason that I pushed away from her a little bit... I was on neither side, but the thing that pushed me over was like... I feel like there's so much evidence to say that you're bought and paid for. Like,
oh yeah, like it seemed she was just
she was a career
there.
politician. Yeah, she was. Yeah, it's like, and
there.
you've been chosen to be the one where they should have, and they knew they should have went with Bernie Sanders.
They fucking should have. Oh my god.
And I know that guy's like, on the right they call him, he's a crazy communist.
Yeah.
Like, but the world's at a point where
you need crazy communists.
We've got corrupt capitalism.
Yeah.
How the fuck do we fix this? And some people think that the right thing to do would be to just insert a little bit of communism in there.
Yeah, a little bit
just
of socialism or something.
Yeah. Because in Australia, I suppose we live in a...
We're not really we're not fully capitalist here.
No, what is it? It's, we've got compulsory voting. We've got a lot of...
even healthcare, that's so anti-capitalist. It's not funny. Like.
So I forget the actual term for it, but it's like social... democracy or something like that. Anyway.
But yeah, that America definitely does not have that at all.
No.
But yeah, it's very interesting. Like, I just feel like the whole election has really sparked this like question of like what the fuck is going on really, because none of it adds up, none of it makes sense. I think it's almost a good thing because for a lot of people, at least, like both on the left and the right, people are looking into like the deep state or looking into like the powers that are actually behind all the important decisions that are made, or like what affects the Federal Reserve or the families that have like this bloody, like the Rothschilds and all of that, how they come into it. And I feel like it ties back into like celebrity culture as well.
Of course, Hollywood's heavily involved in the propaganda. That's just like a CIA, basically.
That's
it's mafia run. It was always mafia run.
And it's just nuts. Like how, and then it just makes you come back to this point of like, well, what the fuck can you do? And it kind of is a sort of a defeatist way to look at it.
Yeah, you know what? I think humanity, though, like, I think if everyone was just came to terms with it and just went, okay, well, it is what it is, I think we'd operate fine still. Like, it's corrupt. It's always been corrupt.
Yeah,
it's never going to change.
Yeah.
Like that song, We Didn't Start the Fire. This has been going since the beginning of time.
In different forms. So it's the same shit.
Yeah, and it's never going to get solved. So let's just all wake the fuck up and look at it and just go, all right, well, let's just change our perspective on everything.
Yeah, of course. And like I've been looking into like free will and the concept of free will a lot recently too, and the fact that like I'm kind of on the fence with it. I don't think we have free will necessarily.
No.
And there's a few shaky theories as to like why it doesn't make sense that we have free will, because like everything humans do, when you're looking at like big data and the way humans behave, is very, very, very predictable to the point where like there's not really much that we do that isn't predictable.
Facebook can write an algorithm.
Yeah, that's the thing. If we can run by algorithms in every aspect of life, whether that's friggin' banking and social media or like whatever, do we really have like that much free will? And even like just thinking about it, there was this one theory, and it's got so many holes in it, but the concept is quite interesting, is that like our brains obviously have to run like by neurons. We've got billions of neurons in our brain, and they can only really like, everything comes back to atoms.
Yeah.
And like you can only have those electrical currents or have those thoughts be made by the atoms that are around you at the time.
Yeah.
So if you're run by your circumstance and like what happens to be there to react with, like how can you say that you're in control of that really? So if even your thoughts are privy to, you know, like the chemistry that's around you.
This is where I think like what they say spiritual enlightenment comes into it, where like you escape that, and then that's when you have a lot of free will. So there's a guy named Aleister Crowley who was big into like black magic, and he went and did a bunch of like, he tried every religion, every different type of weird fucking yoga meditation. He did it all. And his theory was like he made his own religion basically, and if you followed that religion you would reach total
like nirvana or something.
Yeah, like total free will. You could, and a lot of his stuff is inserted into popular culture. Like the Super Bowl stuff, and you know, if Katy Perry's wearing some weird Egyptian shit in a music video, like a lot of it can be linked back to it. He's on the front of a Beatles cover of an album. He really inspired rock and roll music. Yeah, go look into that. That's a weird thing of just how the entertainment industry is also connected in with these weird secret societies and different types of cults that have been around for years. Like the Super Bowl, that halftime break thing, apparently that's just supposed to be... basically like it's, you know how the North Koreans do that big festival that's our version of that.
Shit,
and
like
it's a ritual. It's just like a wedding or something like that. We do it every year at the same time. So it's definitely classified as a ritual. And
that's
imagine having that much energy, focusing attention on one point, whether it be through a television or whatever.
Yeah.
Something weird must change in
that
the
is very, very interesting. Fucking hell. That's like new information to me, man. Like, so
okay. Yeah, this is we've really gone down a rabbit hole here.
Yeah.
Just to clarify, I smoked a joint before this, and Brianne, so she's got her head screwed on, and I don't. I feel like I'm talking so much.
Like you sound complete. If I had a joint before starting this, we wouldn't be going anywhere like, at all.
All over Red Rover.
Yep. We're going to sleep with your dog.
9/11.
9/11.
That's how we went down that one. What else is there? Did you see that interview or hear about that Red Pill movie at all?
I've heard about it. I haven't seen it, but I've just seen that people are angry at it for some reason.
Okay, so you saw like the... did you see the interview that they did on Sunrise with her? That video sort of went viral.
No, I haven't seen it, but weren't they supposed to do something with Triple J's Hacked or... And
maybe
they pulled out a few hours before for some reason?
Oh, no.
Was that a different one?
Yeah.
Okay,
cool. It might have been them, but if Triple J's Hack was on last night or the night before?
I think it was the night before last.
Okay. Yeah, no, so her name was Cassie J, right? This is I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. She is a film director. She makes documentaries and stuff like that. And this is what I learned from her after watching a bunch of interviews with her. She's made like 10 feminist film, that's what she called them.
Yeah.
And she was a women's rights activist, and she started making a movie about like what the fuck are men's rights. Like she had no idea what it was, or even that it was an issue. And she says that through her journey of making the film, she realized that you can basically do two things at once. Like, and anyway, the Australian media really like ripped her to shreds in some interviews. Like
traditional media kind of thing? Oh,
yeah. And it's very obvious. She's a very well-spoken, very, very smart young lady, and they
don't like it.
No, I don't
like what she's saying.
Yeah, I just don't think it fits the agenda of saying, well, yep, there's women's rights, and there's also kids that get abused that are boys as well. Like, let's remember that we're talking about equality here. It's not just on all sides, whether it be men's rights, women's rights, gay, lesbian rights, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, what is this constant fueling of the fire of people are different and we need to fucking...
I think like for a news outlet to jump onto that, I think it's just because it's controversial and it gets a lot of people angry, and that's good for publicity.
Great.
But
starts a conversation.
Yeah,
they're engaging
that's
with
the
their
thing.
content.
But it's not starting the right conversation. It's not starting a discussion. It's starting arguments, kind of thing. But without having seen the red pill or like any of this stuff, really, I think it's kind of stupid that the media especially turns this debate, like with feminism and men's rights activists and stuff like that, they turn it into an us versus them thing, when in reality, like you said, when you address equality or gender equality, that means gender equality, not necessarily just focus entirely on women and completely disregard the concerns that men can come out with. Because it's true, like there are parts of like things that feminism addresses affects men directly. Like, for example, like gender roles affect everyone, and that's something feminism has a big focus on, and that affects women in a negative way, but it can also affect men in a negative way.
Well, this is what this lady said, which I found, I never looked at it this way, but she goes, boys are also made to feel a certain way when they grow up. They have to like these things, they have to be like everyone's going through this weird
like this invisible
programming almost, of like what they should be if they're this type of person.
And it starts so young. Like you see people with babies being like, oh, like when they grow up, like if it's about a boy, then they have to be a fucking engineer or like a garbage truck driver or like some kind of like
tradie. There's jobs for boys and there's jobs for girls. That's what the fucking British Prime Minister said.
You hand little girls like plastic babies, or you have to look after this, and you hand little boys lawnmowers. Like it's ingrained from like the second you are able to have, any conscious thought about what you're doing. Yeah. So, and I think that's it's not necessarily inherently a bad thing, but I don't think it's a productive thing to just segregate people, because what that ends up doing is like you see women in lower paying jobs and being tasked with most of the housework or like the emotional labor, and you see men having to grow up being like emotionally stunted because they've been told that you can't have emotion without it being a negative thing, or you can't talk about your problems. And that's like directly reflected in the fact that men kill themselves a lot more often. Yeah,
thanks for bringing that up, because I personally know like at least 5 or 6 people that have killed themselves, and they were people that were, like you just wouldn't expect it.
And that's the thing, like how could you expect it if they don't talk about it, because they've been told their whole life that's bad to do. And I think that comes from the war. Like when this is just my opinion, this is not a fact. Yeah. But like when you're essentially breeding soldiers, they can't afford to have emotion because it's seen as weakness. They can't afford to react to things. No, because they're
shooting people. They've got to know. Humans inherently know to not kill another human. Yeah. How the fuck do you brainwash that out of...
Yeah, and it's brainwashing, and it's like really heavy-handed brainwashing. And I think that what we experience today is just left over from those huge wars where like all men were like healthy men were being conscripted, and they had to be like this, and they came home even in an even worse state.
Yeah.
And that feeds back into like women having to deal with like the emotional labor from men a lot of the time, and men are having all of these issues that they won't talk about because they're not allowed to. And I think what we're seeing is just left over from that basically, but it's unhealthy on both sides. Yeah. If that makes sense.
Yeah. And it's definitely been set up by some sort of hierarchy of some sort, whether it be the same people that we're talking about before.
And on top of that, it's very, very profitable. Like if you can sell the same product in 2 different colors and one's more expensive, you're selling double the product and it's not actually any different. Like it feeds into so many different industries, but advertising is like a big one.
Yeah. It just works well for everyone.
And it works, Yeah. It works really well.
Yeah.
So as long as it keeps working and people keep feeding into this, it's going to keep happening.
Yeah.
It's like there's a whole industry based off both men and women being oppressed in different ways. Like there's so many industries based off that.
Then there's many like industries inside of one. Like you'll have plus size fashion, then you'll have all these different types of things. And now like it just seems there's so many splinters of society now that while that's a great thing, the way that they can use that against people is by setting up opposing sides within that. Like for I think the whole gender equality thing, they're using the same tactic as they did with politics, which is by showing the extremes on both sides.
100%.
By showing someone that's like this, a woman that says all men are rapists, and then showing some guy that's like a Nazi fucking like...
Yeah, like the worst of the worst from Bloke's Advice or something.
Yeah. And
then the worst of the worst from Tumblr or like wherever.
Yeah, some weird like fringe part of something. And like we said at the start, I just don't come across that many people that I think it's actually a problem. I think we think it's a problem because that's what we're being fed.
Yeah, I think like as far as the extremists go, like they're not really an issue.
No.
I mean, like that.
There needs to be them because it brings the reasonable people to the fucking middle.
That's the thing, and I'm like, I don't think they're very loud. Oftentimes, they like make themselves known. But have you ever actually spoken to one ever? Because I haven't.
No, I'd love to speak to someone from like the what are they called, like Reclaim Australia or something like that. I genuinely love to have someone on the podcast because then some of the thoughts they're not what I think.
Exactly.
But I think everyone should deserve to be heard out because surely common sense will prevail in any situation.
Yeah, you would hope so. And like that's the thing. I'm like, I can't look at these people like that have opposing views to me and just because what I used to do when I first started like delving into all of this stuff is just I just wrote it up to they're just stupid or they're just uneducated, they just don't get it.
Dismissive.
That's the thing. I'm like that's a very easy thing to say because that puts me in the right, them in the wrong, and it's chalked up to something that isn't really true. But these people are like academics, they're friggin' doctors, they're lawyers, they're like all these different come from every facet of society. Yeah. You can't just say all of them are stupid because they don't agree with you. Yeah. Their opinions obviously come from somewhere. And like, even if I don't appreciate that their opinion is oppressive towards other people, completely dismissing them and just telling them to shut up or calling them out in a way that's not productive doesn't fix the problem. But
they probably anyone that doesn't have the same view as you is using that exact same excuse. Exactly. So we're just doing it to each other. Yeah. So really, no one's opinion fucking matters at all. That's at the end of the day.
Like, I think if everyone could benefit from just taking it down a notch and discussing with people and actually like trying to keep a cool head and like trying to respect their opinion, even if you think it disrespects your existence and stuff like that. And that's hard for a lot of people to do. And I get that because it's hard for me to do. Yeah. But I think it's the only way forward as well. Like it's not as if you can just call all these people out in an aggressive way and the problem's solved, because oftentimes that just makes it worse.
Why can't we, they say humans are selfish, but why can't we get to a point where if someone says their opinion to you that you don't agree with, then you don't have to fight. It's, we don't have to fight it. We don't have to it's not an argument all the time. And sometimes it's okay to be wrong. Yeah. But why can't we just go, it doesn't fucking matter what you think. This is what I'm going to wear today. I don't give a fuck. This is how I like to cut my hair. Yeah. Why does anyone's opinions fucking...
That's the thing, and I think that comes back into do you know about Maslow's hierarchy of needs at all?
No.
It's basically like this triangle, and it's got like all human needs, and at the top there's like things like food and shelter and stuff.
Okay, yeah.
And somewhere in the middle there's like belongingness, which is a big one. And I think it comes back to that because like people don't like just say I wanted to shave my head, but I felt like all of my friends would criticize me for it, or just someone walking down the street would. Yeah. Then I'd feel deterred from doing that, but I'd also feel real salty about it because I can't go and just shave my head without being ridiculed. So that makes me really angry, which would put me on the defensive. Yeah. Immediately, like before there's even an issue, before anyone's even said anything, you're already on the defensive. And people that react to things in a defensive way, it's never productive and it's never level-headed.
And it's human nature to be defensive as well. That's exactly the thing. So I get defensive at times, and
for sure.
And it's easier to say that to not do it when I'm not feeling like I need to be defensive. But
that's the thing. Like if I feel slighted, even though I have this objective knowledge right now, if I feel defensive, I'm gonna react defensively.
I feel looking at it this way more in my life now does sometimes help. I don't get hung up on such small things that I used to.
And that's the thing, where I would used to get really affected by certain people having opinions. For example, if someone was spewing sexism all over Facebook or something, or someone that I knew, I would react to that in such a way that it's they don't know that I don't respect them anymore necessarily, or they don't know that I feel uncomfortable around them, but I'm affecting myself. So it's like that saying, it's you don't throw hot coals at someone. Like, you don't hold on to hot coals and expect the other person to get burned.
Yeah.
It's that kind of thing. And I think it just comes back to like, okay, that's their opinion. I'll continue living my life and hopefully talk about these things so that discussion changes in a positive way or something like that. I don't really know, but it's just, I don't know how to say it, but it's like, if I can just live my life, keep doing what I'm doing, keep talking about the things I'm talking about, maybe they'll come around, or if they won't, then that's not my problem.
Your reality is different to theirs, so it doesn't matter. Like, you're not going to take on what they... That's interesting. What was I going to say? Do you think that like links into like political correctness and that? Because I think about that a lot, because I've definitely been politically... I've, almost made a career out of, at times, being politically incorrect.
Yeah.
But I heard someone say to me once, like, there's a difference between, like, being sexist, racist, whatever, like, those real bad things, and being politically correct. Like, it's basically just about not hurting someone's feelings. Yeah. Like, don't be a dick, really.
It is. I feel like...
Do you think political correctness has gone too far? Especially in Australia. Like, we live in by nature, I think, we're politically incorrect because we jab shit at each other.
Yeah. And I think that's... I think our culture and the way we do that is good. Like, I like it.
Yeah, it brought me down to fucking earth. I love reading a shit comment sometimes. I go, yeah, you know what? You're not wrong.
Sometimes I feed it to you and I'm just like, I can't argue with that. Like, you're pretty spot on.
Yep, yeah. It's okay to not be fucking awesome all the time as well.
That's the thing. With political correctness, I think in certain cases it can be taken way too far.
Yeah.
Like, I think Baba Black Sheep is now banned in primary schools because it's now Baba Rainbow Sheep or some shit.
That's like, what pushes people away from that movement.
That's what I mean. I'm like, you could have had a point, and they oftentimes do have a point. Yeah. But doing shit like having someone within your movement do shit like that really, really discredits what you're doing, because that's not helping anyone. That's not fixing any problems.
So it's this culture of like offense and being offended on someone else's opinion.
And I think that's... People are both on, like, because it's often seen as like more of a leftist thing to get offended by things, but it's definitely both. Like,
of course it's
definitely both. And like, there's censorship on both sides where like the left will shut someone down and take away their platform if they've said something, and so will the right though. They've fired people for disagreeing with them. It's happened in Trump's administration fucking how many times already. Yeah. Like, it's just a human thing. What do you think of Milo Yiannopoulos? I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. I know very little about that other than they're just seeing it and being like, okay, everyone's angry at this. And he seems like a bit of a cunt. But it's politically incorrect, Brianne. Oh, sorry. But I honestly haven't looked into what he's said with it in enough depth to like comment on it. It's a really weird emotional ride. Yeah. You sit there, is he just like he's a provocateur. Like the things that he says, like he'll hold up signs like feminism is cancer, and he's this guy that's going like, I would rather my kid have cancer than have feminism. That's the shit that he said in speeches. Okay. It's outrageous. It's outrageous to the point where he's taking the piss, surely. Like, he's riling people up, and that's his way of gathering everyone together. And then he speaks some points where you sit there and you go, he does it in a really weird way, but I go, oh, okay, look, the way that you have taken approach to it is, I don't agree with it. Yeah. But some of the facts that you're saying, okay, like, I just don't agree with the way that you're probably going about it. But it's interesting that, like I've been trying to say this last few weeks, I've realised there's facts and research to back up any argument that you want. Everything. So it's just fake news on both sides. Exactly. And like, it goes down to, I think it comes down to people not knowing where to find good sources of information. Yeah. And like, the thing is... Not Karl Stefanovic in the morning. Please don't. Or not here on either. TV. Like, no, ever. On here as well. We're talking about the moon being a spaceship before, so... But I don't know. I feel like even if you find really good, like, for example, peer-reviewed journal articles, they can, like... I think a really divisive issue is like vegans versus meat eaters, just as an example. Yeah. But you can find research that backs up both, because you can find a study that's peer-reviewed, it's a journal article, which is supposed to be super, super credible, but it's funded by the meat industry. Yeah, exactly. So it's then not credible anymore. Yeah. And but no one looks into that. Like, no one looks into journal articles, period. But if they do, they're not looking into who funded it. Yeah.
who's paying that person.
Yeah,
everything.
and it doesn't matter because you'll Google. The thing is, people Google like why veganism is bad or why eating meat is bad, and that's what they'll find, and that's what they'll base their opinion on.
Yeah,
you find exactly what you're looking
for.
Yeah. It's just that kind of self-feeding cycle.
Yeah, I've changed my opinion on everything, on so many things now that I'm like, I don't know what to believe.
That's
Everything's
the thing,
just a theory now.
Everything I find, the next thing I search completely opposes it. So I'm like, I don't fucking know what opinion I have.
Yeah.
Because what do I base it on?
Yeah, it's gone fucking haywire. We've got too much information.
That's the thing. I think it's a good thing. It's empowered
It's great,
the masses, but it's fucked as well.
It's fucking the masses as much. It's empowering us too fast, too quickly.
Yeah.
And we're not evolved to this internet age where I was saying the other day, I've got Snapchat, Instagram. So I've got to worry about Snapchat stories, Instagram stories, my Instagram account, just normal photos and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Fucking, it just, the list goes on, and it's only going to get bigger
as
time goes on.
Like Vine came around for a bit and then it died, but like there were like
fuck for that.
There's freaking Musically if you like if that's your thing.
That's where fucking Supermac could sit now.
Oh, he so would
On
be. He
Musically.
so fucking would be. But there's so much shit you've got to keep on top of. And it's just, I mean, it's all bullshit.
You do it quite well though. You've definitely like got a good Instagram account, and you
that's like
take time to do it.
Yeah, that's like my baby. I love my Instagram.
Yeah.
I just like having nice photos.
Yep.
And I don't know, Mum took heaps of photos of us like as we were growing up, and I feel like that's definitely where it's come from.
Yeah, being in front of a camera.
Yeah,
okay.
Definitely comfortable in front of a camera.
Mum started the propaganda.
Thanks, Mum.
She knew about YouTube years ago. She was getting you prepped
had
up.
It set.
She wanted to stage mum. She's like the mum in Mean Girls, where she's behind the camera, like directing you the whole time.
Oh my
god. How long have you been on YouTube then now? Do you know?
Oh God, I think like when I made videos with my mates was in 2010.
7 years.
But I haven't been like regularly making videos. I think it was like 2013 or something that I was.
Did you go through waves of like, oh, I'm going to do it now, and then yeah, so do I.
Like I think I'm in a wave at the moment.
Me too.
Because like there'll be times where I'm like, fuck yeah, I know what I'm doing. Like I like making this kind of shit, blah blah blah, and then I'll just completely lose interest, or you know, like it's not quite, didn't end up how I wanted it, or whatever it is. And then, you know, 3 months later, you start making videos again.
When did you start like making, what do you think was the first, because you've made a few serious videos where you've sat down and just had like a chat. When was that hard doing that for the first time, going, oh, I'm not going to be silly this time, I'm actually going to
Not really. I think I remember one of the first like serious ones I made was about that Steubenville rape case or whatever.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, I remember this video.
And to me, like at the time, I was in like my first year of uni and I had heard about it and I was just like angry. I was just like, what the fuck is going on?
It was a pretty crazy
case. That was like my
too.
Introduction to feminism was that around that time.
Yep.
So this was like right before I was even aware of any of it.
Yep.
But yeah, I remember sitting down and just being like, fuck, this makes me angry. I just want to talk about it. And I didn't think about it too much. Didn't expect any backlash because I just didn't.
Did you get backlash from it?
For sure, yeah. Okay. But I had no introduction to that world. I didn't realize it was controversial kind of thing. So yeah, I made the video and then realized all of this shit delved into that whole, you know, the world of like feminism and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, after the videos I made after that, I was like, okay, like I got to think about what I'm going to say because everyone's going to get angry at it. Yeah. You know, and you get like that first video got so many like death threats, rape threats, and that was just like, I was just like, what the fuck? Like my channel's not huge. I don't know where these people have even come from.
Triggered something,
Yeah, triggered a lot of people. It was so angry. But yeah, so that was the start of all that, and obviously it discourages you from making those types of videos. I don't make them very often. Unless it's like something that I just really want to talk about, and I think me talking about it can actually provide some kind of you know, information or like positive influence.
Trying to be subjective. Like I did one about Chappelle Corby, and when I was making it, I'm like, well, when I was writing it, I'm sitting there and going, this is very opinionated. Like I was almost quite nervous when I'm sitting there uploading going, this could go one or two ways. This could be like, you fucking dickwit, or it could go the other way. And it was like, it was the other way. Like it went quite well. But of course I got the same people that were writing Connor even saw them as well, like people commenting on the video like she should have been raped in prison, and just like
it's fucking weird, man.
Insanity. No, but insanity. Like
that's
how
crazy.
could someone go, how could someone jump from like, oh, you know, it would be bad enough him saying she should have been bashed in prison, but he's gone to the extent of going, he thinks that she should have been raped in prison for what she did.
I don't get that
but
mentality.
There was heaps of those weird rape comments. I'm like, what the fuck's going on?
I think it's just like an easy, like whenever women and men, but like especially women.
Yeah,
it's
women.
it's fucking easy to. It's an easy threat to make, kind of thing.
Yeah, but that's fucked up.
It's just a fucked up thing to say or think.
It's like worse than killing someone. Like, surely,
for sure. I feel like
kill me before you fucking rape me.
Yeah, like I can't speak from experience, but I would assume that like how I would respond to that, it would fuck the rest of my life up, presumably.
Yeah.
But, you know.
Or it's a heavy thing to live with.
Yeah, or like it would really weigh you down for quite some time.
Yeah, yeah.
But
probably forever.
Well, yeah, it's such an invasive, like that's your body that it's, I don't know.
Do you know what thought terrifies me? And this is back to the suicide thing was, like I've sat there and I've thought about, like, could you imagine, this is what's going through someone's mind when they're about to commit or do commit suicide.
Yeah.
Something's happened that's triggered this sort of emotion of fuck, I've got to go, right? And a lot of the people that I know that have killed themselves have hung themselves in their cupboard with like a belt or something like that. Could you imagine like the feeling of, you've had anxiety before?
Yeah.
An anxiety attack that is so bad that the only thing that you can do is go, I don't have anything at all. I'm going to get a belt. I need to go. The feeling in my brain is so crippling that I'm going to kill myself to stop this. That is just unimaginable.
That's the thing, like the point, like every...
And then do it. And then actually
do it. Like everything that your body and mind is geared to do is the complete opposite of that. So to override all of that, for something to be that fucking bad and distressing that it overrides every single thing you're programmed and put on this earth to do.
To survive.
Yeah. That's pretty fucked. And I feel like it's something that's definitely like it's never looked at like that.
No.
I feel like it's always just glossed over like, oh yeah, they killed themselves, like they must have been sad or whatever. But I'm like, do you actually think about what's involved?
Yeah, put yourself
for someone
in
to
that.
get to that point? And like how much like biology and like all of this kind of stuff that they have to overcome to override their sense of survival, like their need to survive, for someone to purposefully kill themselves, which is not, I would imagine, is not like the easiest thing to do, really.
I was having a conversation with a friend on the phone. We'd spoke about this sort of stuff a little bit, and I knew that he was definitely not doing well. And he rang me like in an absolute, like he was in the middle of making his mind up on where this was going to go. And I'm like, I answered the phone. I'm like, holy shit, I'm the one that's got to fix this. I don't know. I talk a lot of shit, but now I've really got to fucking step up. Yeah. And just like this is a man. Like he's a kid that had the fucking beard at school. Big dude, very muscly. Like, and he's on the phone and like he's hyperventilating. So as soon as I hear that, as I answer it, he's just. I'm like, what is going on? And he's like having a massive like. Just an insane panic attack. It hurt to hear it, and it was just over a girlfriend.
And a lot of the time it is like over a partner, like on both sides, like.
But it must stem from other issues in life.
Of course, I feel like it's always built up, and then like it's something like as intimate as a partner that tips it off. Yeah, you know, because that's generally like if you're going to have conflict in your life, it's probably going to come from another person. Yeah, if it's going to be something that tips it past that point, and it always happens to be like a girlfriend or a boyfriend or even friends, you know, like. Yep. But
business relationships.
Like actually.
Yeah, like people that go into business and then the business breaks down and they've got to figure out who takes the money.
Like, who the fuck? But yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah,
there's so many different things. And a lot of the time it's like it's also nothing. Like, from an outside perspective, it doesn't look like anything really happened. No. Or it could have been like being a rational person on the outside that has no emotional involvement. It's easy for us to stand back and go, well, yeah, you could solve that. But in the heat of a moment and that's the thing, when emotions are involved. Yeah, like you're a slave to your brain's chemistry. Like it's not like these people in a stable mindset would make the same decision. Yeah. But, you know, when you're privy to friggin' mental illness or whatever is going on, or like abuse or whatever it might be, that really overrides any sense of like your personality or your normal mental state. That would tell you that that's obviously not the most sensible thing to do. And that's something that's definitely not being addressed enough, if at all, really.
It happens a lot in the Aboriginal communities as well.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It's even worse there.
And you can see why. Like, I feel like the thing that above most other things that drives people to kill themselves is like a lack of purpose and a lack of seeing a future and seeing it as a positive future.
Does it come back to that community thing of feeling whole, of feeling like a part of something?
Exactly. Yeah, I think it could have something to do with that, because like I was thinking about it. Something you take for granted, like my identity is very closely tied with the culture I come from, which is like on mum's side, they're very, very Italian. So like that's something that I am so connected to. And it's not something I've ever thought about. It's not something I'm like, oh yes, I wake up today and I'm Italian. Like it's not, you know.
Mamma mia. Oh, Brianne's awake.
But yeah, it's definitely a big part of my life and something I completely overlooked until I thought about it. And I was like, what if I didn't have that? And not only if I didn't have that, like had no feasible way of ever finding out that that's where I came from.
That's me. I got
Really,
no
man?
idea where the fuck I'm from.
Shit.
Yeah, I've got a bit of everything.
On either side?
Yeah, both sides are sort of like, one's like, oh, we might be Irish, but no one really knows.
It's like kind of like on my dad's side a little bit.
Is that because you're white? It's like, yeah.
Yeah, on my dad's side, it's a little bit of...
I might have some Aboriginal. I know might be some of that in there.
Someone told me the other day they thought I had Aboriginal in me. I was like, okay.
I dated a girl for a little bit, and she was Italian as well, and she, the teacher in school chose her to be in the Aboriginal Torres Strait Islander race, and she won it.
Oh my God.
And has this award in her house that's like, from that race day.
Shit.
Because she was Italian.
Fucking hell.
And she's probably got the same skin as you, just like, you know. There you go.
I always get asked if I'm Asian.
Oh, like really? I would never have thought that.
Well, I don't know. I'm like, my eyes look a little bit Asian, I guess. But that comes from dad's side. Like that's his eye shape.
Right.
And he's white, blonde. Like,
yep. He ain't Asian.
He's not Asian.
Right.
But yeah.
That's okay. Have you, we might end it on this heavy topic, but have you ever experienced like death at all? Because I've never had anyone close to me, like relative wise, die. Yeah,
no, recently actually, like it was literally I think 12 months ago this week that my nonna, which my grandma died. Yep. And that was like she was old, you know. That's a kind of typical thing. But almost a year, like another 12 months before that, my auntie died from pancreatic cancer, and she was quite young, like you know, and that's like a really slow and painful death. Like it's fast because it's like one of the most aggressive forms of cancer, but it's like a very drawn out, like a slow death kind of thing, and that was very hard to watch, kind of thing. And then
what's it like? So did you go through mourning though? Like you felt real mourning?
For sure. And like I think that kind of happened before she died because it was terminal. Like it was just she was just.
You knew that was you had time to prepare
months before. Yeah. Okay. They were like
that's got to be excruciating then.
I just couldn't.
Fuck that.
I couldn't deal with that being me, like, and knowing that you're just dying. That's just it.
What do you think about euthanasia?
I think it should be legalized. Like I think people should have the option to do that, and seeing that happen to my auntie, like if that was me, I would have wanted to just cut it off.
Yeah, that's what I was
while
gonna
I'm
ask.
still able to walk around, because she couldn't move. Like she couldn't move from laying down, and that's how she died. Like she just, for like I think a whole month before that, didn't really get up.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, like other than to probably go to the toilet, or you know, she ate laying down. Like from what I saw. It was just a very... Jeez,
I'm just like trying to imagine living that or seeing that myself, and that's just a...
Yeah, and because she lives in Innisfail and I live in Brisbane, I would only see her like maybe every month or something. Yeah. So the difference from every time I went was staggering. Like the first time I saw her, she was fine. Like she looked pretty much fine. She just had back pain.
Yep.
The second time I saw her, she came to Brisbane for like scans and stuff like that, and she was still walking, but she was like weak. And then, yeah, it just got worse and worse and worse. And the last time I saw her, she didn't even know I was there. Or, like, I don't think she knew I was there.
That could be you and I. That can happen to anyone. That's the scary part, is that we could be the person on the couch that can't move.
That's the thing. And I looked at that. I'm like, fuck, if this was me, I would just, like, I would hope euthanasia was a thing.
Because I'd find a way.
Yeah. That's the thing. Even if I had to, like, ask my family to just put me down somehow, you know, I think that I'd be happier
Take
doing...
it at the back.
I'd be happier doing that than slowly not being able to wipe my own ass kind of thing, you know?
Yeah, that's got to be something. Well, we covered a lot of
shit.
Yeah. I definitely shouldn't have smoked before this, but thanks so much for coming on. I really wanted to get you on.
Thanks for having me.
Have you got anything coming up? Going to VidCon?
Oh, yeah, I'm going to VidCon Australia in September, I think it is. That's about it.
Catch Brianne there.
Doing God knows what.
Performing live. She's got an interpretive dance that she's been practicing.
Been practicing.
Anything else? We'll put your social media stuff in
awesome.
below. But yeah, thanks for coming down from
Not
Brizzy.
a problem, man.